for joining us today. My name is Jon Bennett. I'm the director here at the System Source Presentations Department. And we're gathering today to talk a little about Teams Rooms and getting to know Teams Rooms in 2025. On the agenda today, we'll talk a little bit about Teams Room appliances for any space. We'll have a short discussion about some of the AI topics revolving in Teams and Teams Rooms. We're going to talk a little bit about and understanding the difference between the free basic license and the pro license for Teams Rooms. We'll get into a little bit of the roadmap for the coming months and some exciting features that are coming to Teams and Teams Rooms, and a little bit about the difference between Teams and Teams Rooms. With that, this webinar does run a little bit short, runs about 35, 40 minutes. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for questions or to give you a little bit of time back for your day here. And again, this is a brief overview. We won't be getting too deep into any of the topics. The goal here is to introduce you to anything that you may or may not know from Teams Room and spur some questions. At that point, members of my team are here to answer questions for you in the chat, or we'll be reaching out to and we can have a deeper discussion and look at a little bit more of some of the products and features that may work for your organization. With that being said, I hope you're enjoying your pizza today. If you haven't received your pizza for any reason, you can contact Julie. Her email address is up on the screen. I'm going to leave this up here for a couple seconds for you to grab if you need it. All right, well, we'll get into a little bit of housekeeping here for the webinar today, and I'll introduce you to System Source. Audio is in presentation mode until the end of the webinar here. If we see a lot of chat and questions, there is consideration to open the microphones up. If not, we'll keep you muted. In the control panel, feel free to share your thoughts in the chat tab. The questions tab is probably the best place for questions as they're recorded there, and my staff will be watching those here. If we can answer them today, I'll be more than happy to put them there, and I'll try to repeat them out to everybody in the meeting. If it's something we need to look into, we'll make sure to record them and have somebody get back to you with those answers. Both the presentation slides today and the webinar recording will be emailed when we're done. And at the end, you'll receive an evaluation. We really appreciate your thoughts on the webinar today. And out of all the completed evaluations, we will be doing a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card. So good reason to go ahead and fill that out for me. All right. Hopefully a lot of you, if not all of you, are familiar with System Source. If not, I'll give you the little 10-second spiel here about who we are, what we do, and where we came from. So System Source, we're a regional systems integrator for both IT and AV that has been around for about 43 years. We started in 1981 as a Computerland franchise, if any of you remember that, back when it was really common for us to buy computers in stores. But in 1991, we changed our name to System Source. And from there, we've grown to do just about everything under the sun, IT and AV related. So seeing here our wheel, some of you asked us and come to us to improve your IT or your AV operational maturity. With that, we also take care of training. We can train your staff in applications or technical topics for improved staff retention, productivity, and lower help desk costs. We do hold virtual classes in your home or office. We also have public classes here in Hunt Valley and our Columbia spaces. We're also very happy to offer dedicated courses on your site too. We do carefully set up our classrooms and you can rent those as well. So if you have any needs for your organization, please let us know. We're happy to host you here. As we are, most of us here today, we have other clients relying on us for presentation rooms, conference rooms, classrooms, lecture halls, even things like stadiums and public buildings. Often these rooms are built with video conferencing and digital signage in mind, like we're here today talking about video conferencing. Once you've improved your IT infrastructure, sometimes it requires the expertise of our top consultants. We specialize in cloud migrations, system management, virtualization, project management, and infrastructure design. One very common improvement that some clients ask us about these days is how to better utilize the cloud. We help you by hosting applications either in our data center, Microsoft Azure, or Amazon Web Services. Once you've taken care of this and improved your systems, maintenance always follows after that. We do offer proactive support using managed services in our help desk and reactive support using our support and service dispatch desk. That goes for both IT and audiovisual needs. And then when maintenance is done efficiently, money can become available to acquire new equipment and refresh your systems. So over the 43 years, we've built many strategic alliances with our vendors, and these relationships allow us to provide state-of-the-art systems, productivity, and education. So we really appreciate you working with us, and we hope to see all of you in the future. Up on your screen right now, I was going to say a couple. One upcoming webinar that's happening on Wednesday, October 22nd from noon to 1. So with that, that's 12 cybersecurity myths putting organizations at risk. So you can go onto our website that you see on the screen here, and you can locate information on this webinar and any other upcoming webinars we may be hosting. All right, and with that being said, let's jump into talking about teams and teams rooms. As I think all of us realize now, the work world has just fundamentally changed from where we were 5-6 years ago. We're spending a lot more time at our desks, whether it be at home, whether it be at office, or in a hybrid situation. And at the center, we really have two forces shaping this work environment for us, and that's flexibility and AI. So with flexibility, we know that we're becoming very much accustomed to Zooms, to Teams like we're talking today, and any other web applications. And I'm sure all of us have seen AI really coming up into the forefront this year and last year, helping many of our organizations react to different needs. With that being said, just to give us one more little key here, we do offer many classes in the use of AI in a corporate environment. So that's also available on our website if you wish to take a look at that and see what we can do for you there. So the speed of work is outpacing our ability to keep up. I know it affects me here. I'm sure it affects most of you guys there. And Microsoft has helped coin a couple terms here that really make things make sense. The main one, and that I love, is teamwork tax. We're seeing at least 3 times more meetings than we did when we were in the office, especially here at System Source. It's so easy for us to jump on to a virtual meeting that I know I spend a lot of my time, and I'm sure you guys spend a lot of your time in these meetings too. Growing pains and growth pains. 68% of companies are definitely showing us that social connections and cohesion has been a challenge. As we're moving to a virtual world, we tend to lose that connection that we had with a lot of our colleagues in the past. And then when we're moving all of this on to the internet and the cloud, we're seeing a giant jump in security threats. Vishing and phishing attacks, and this is some old data here, but I know it has gone up. Back in 2022, rose 142% in just one quarter. So as we're living our lives online, so are the hackers, so are the phishers. So with Teams and AI Power Meetings, we hope to help you build connections, save time and money. When 43% of our employees are telling us that they feel disconnected from the company as a whole, 51% of our employees are saying the relationships outside their immediate group have weakened, and 85% would be motivated by rebuilding team bonds. We know we have to do something, whether it is managers, IT professionals, to help our teams, help our employees, help our colleagues continue to improve and connect with the company as a whole. And I think that's where Teams and AI-powered meetings can really come in and help us out. So with that, we're stepping into this new era of flexible work. And I know when we say we're stepping in, and we've been here for a while, Teams Rooms is really a great platform in the ecosystem of 365 to help bring our conference rooms back into that mix. We're all very, very accustomed to sitting at our laptops, but what do we do with these spaces that we once all lived in and that many of our organizations still hold? And that's Teams rooms. It helps us create a smarter workplace that scales, that meets your team's needs, whether it's a small huddle space or whether it's the big 40-seat boardroom. These meetings are transcending physical boundaries and people are joining from anywhere. I'm sure some of you have some remote workers or contractors that may not even be in this state right now. And with these meetings, we're able to bring everybody in. And what we really want to do is we want to make everybody feel included in these meetings, whether they're locally in the room, whether they're home in Baltimore, the DC area, in their home office, or whether they're in California, Texas, Oregon, wherever. So using Teams rooms really helps optimize all of these resources and people together. A little bit about the ecosystem in 365. What we see here is a wheel of Microsoft's, or everything that encompasses between the meetings in the rooms, just the calling features within 365 as an office communicator. The ability to collaborate, whether it's through sharing your screen or whether it's through using Whiteboard, or even just chatting. I know we've really grown here at System Source using 365 and Teams, where I know in my team here, Teams chat is our lifeblood, being able to quickly send information or ask information from each other without having to pick up a phone, walk down a hallway, anything like that. So with this being said, bringing our conference rooms into these mix can be very, very important for us as well. We can see here where the different products within 365 encompass. So with Teams rooms, we're definitely more in the chatting in the meeting area. Teams phone, I don't know if anybody is using those on their platform for calling and also meeting. And then with the Teams premium features, it opens up a whole slew of collaborative and management tools that we can use to help our teams. Teams rooms right now are being used by over 70% of the Fortune 500. I know for us and a lot of our customers, 365 has become very common. And with that, we kind of end up in the Teams and Teams rooms ecosystem here. We can see a couple examples, and these are just a few here of the companies out there using them. And I'm sure there's many, many, many more. So what's the difference between Teams and Teams rooms? Really, the difference here is Teams room turns any space into a smart meeting space, a resource, if you would, for our organizations, allowing us to meet face-to-face and with our remote colleagues in intelligent and inclusive rooms. This allows us to collaborate with our teams and make sure that everybody's engaged in the meeting. That definitely comes into a big play here as we're working in these flex spaces. Flexible and scalable spaces. As I mentioned before, anything from the smallest 2-seat huddle room can be a Teams room up to a 40-seat boardroom. Really, the sky's the limit and the options are endless there, allowing us to engage in these spaces. And also easy to deploy, manage, and secure. These are coming from Microsoft. I think we're all very, very, very used to the Microsoft ecosystem at this point, and know that they really do have our security and management in mind. Being able to deploy these systems with hardware from just about any manufacturer and have that same look and feel, no matter where you go within your organization, is a big plus. Walking to any conference room and not having to retrain, I know I'm sure everybody has gone through those pain points in kind of the classic audiovisual systems and automation rooms where you have users that constantly need retraining on their spaces, or a space that just doesn't get used because it's either complicated or it's just kind of gotten lost to time there. With Microsoft Teams rooms being inside that ecosystem, every room is going to look exactly the same for you, and we'll get into that a little more in a second here. So with that, that's kind of the differences very quickly on Teams and Teams rooms, where Teams will be for our desks, will be for our inter-office communication, and Teams rooms will be to utilize some of these larger spaces we have as large collaborative resources and bring people back into the conference rooms. So with Teams rooms, one of probably the most confusing aspects, if you have not deployed Teams rooms in your organizations, are the licensing. What's the difference here? We all like things that are free, and we're all kind of getting used to some of these reoccurring monthly fees or yearly fees for licenses. So Teams Room Basic. Basic is a free Teams Room license that you can access through an Office 365 subscription. That gives you the easy one-touch join we'll talk a little bit about. It'll give you easy wireless sharing. It'll allow you to spin up about 25 rooms within your organization, not about, but 25 rooms within your organization, but it will give you limited management and functionality. On the Basic, that's about what you get. You get the ability to start meetings and join meetings. With the Teams Room Pro license, not only are we getting the easy one-touch join, the easy wireless sharing, we're getting also all of the AI-powered functionality that Microsoft, from Copilot to intelligent video, things along those lines. We're getting the AI advanced meeting features for note-taking, a couple other things we'll talk about later today. You're getting the full suite of management tools on the management dashboard, allowing you to see the health of your rooms, how many times your rooms are being used, push easy updates, things along those lines. Whiteboarding, which is something my team uses quite a bit here, the ability to collaborate, draw, and annotate throughout a meeting. It's great for when you're trying to review documents, drawings, things along those lines. And the front row feature, which is definitely neat for your larger spaces. We'll get into that a little bit more. Right now, the Teams Room Pro license is $40 a room per month. So there's a little bit of the difference here. On the next slide, we'll be a little deeper. We won't touch too much on it, but it will be in the PDF package you'll get at the end. With this being said, here is the matrix of the feature sets that are available between Basic and Pro. As you can see, there is a lot of things in the intelligent video. Pretty much none of that is included in Basic. Very few things included in management. And then throughout the rest of these sections here, we get the most basic of features. So once you get this in your email, feel free to take a look at it. And if you have any other questions about what's included, what's not included between the licensing, please let us know. So this, again, our job here at System Source Presentations Department is to help you guys make sure everyone's seen, heard, and recognized in your meetings. That's what we do for a living. We make sure that your conference rooms are able to create and foster a real good environment where we can bring some of that human element back into our remote meetings. And with that, increase the engagement from your teams and collaboration of your teams. If that's not happening in your spaces, you're really not getting the most out of your meetings. Some of the things we do here are provide you with audio and video devices that focus on what matters during the meeting, whether it's an intelligent camera that's doing auto framing or speaker tracking, or microphones in your ceiling, making sure that everything is crystal clear, crisp, and heard on the far side. Believe it or not, we talk about, and we live in this video conferencing world. And we know the name video conferencing even from back in the Polycom days, but video is not the most important part of your meetings in your room. If the audio is not working, we're not having a meeting. So having those microphones and these systems set up in your space to ensure everyone's not only seen but heard is very important. And that comes into noise suppression, echo cancellation, and even bandwidth optimization. We're bringing these multiple meetings into one building here, and we're starting to really tax your bandwidth. So Microsoft and Microsoft Teams has done a lot and continues to do a lot to ensure that the utilization of your bandwidth is kept down to a minimum while providing you with the best conferencing available. Improving identification in meeting content. This is a really fun thing that Microsoft has been working on in the past year or so. There's still a few things coming on the roadmap from it. Is utilizing intelligent speakers and AI. That includes Copilot, is the name we all know it as now, to do things like meeting recap. We'll talk a little bit again about how Teams is handling that. Any of you are using that in your basic Teams meetings. We get notes, we get recaps, we have people's names on it. What happens when I get 8 people into the same room? And that's where Copilot and AI comes into play. The ability to create voice profiles on your 365 account. So when your users are in these rooms and we want to use Copilot for notes and recap, Microsoft and Teams knows who's talking. That allows us to give you a really, and Microsoft to give you a really good readout of who said what in the meeting. That's great when you're using AI to create action items, things along those lines. With that, we talked about other intelligent features. One term that Microsoft has coined here is IntelliFrame. IntelliFrame, some of you may have used some of these cameras in the past. A very common one out there, now this isn't in line with Microsoft, but the same technology, is the Meeting Owl. If you are familiar with the Meeting Owl, the camera that sits in the middle of your table, that goes ahead and cuts up your video to ensure that you capture each and every person in the room or the people that are talking at that point. IntelliFrame does the same thing, that takes the video and tries to give you that gallery view from a room that we're so used to sitting at our desks with our laptops in front of us with webcams going. So that's definitely a neat feature. We'll talk a little bit more about that. In the past, that has been hardware-based for Microsoft in certain cameras. The very exciting thing coming up on the roadmap right now is Microsoft bringing IntelliFrame into the cloud. Once that's fully implemented, you will not need specific hardware to get the best shots of everybody in your space and to have Microsoft cut that up. It'll happen seamlessly in the cloud for you, regardless of what you have running in the room. So to talk a little bit more about IntelliFrame here, so we can see kind of how this works, we really want to make sure that when you're in that meeting gallery, when somebody, whether it's at their home office or someplace in the country, is watching our rooms, that we know who's in the room. We can see who's in the room. And with that comes the ability to make sure that Microsoft knows who's in the space through AI facial recognition and IntelliFrame to cut the video up. And what we can see here in this little GIF that's playing for us is an example of that. Teams knows these 4 people are in the room. It's not just the room up there, and it gives us an indication of who we're talking with. And then we can see those people. So really trying to bring that personal feel back to the meetings and bridge that gap between just a basic online meeting and what we used to have as the in-room collaborative meetings. We see here on this slide, it does mention multi-stream intelligent cameras. As I said before, we are working towards, and hopefully by the end of the year, moving that technology into the cloud, so you will not have to worry about the hardware you're using, maybe even utilize some of the hardware you have now. And that's here in this last section here, talking about legacy cameras utilizing cloud IntelliFrame. So this is one of my favorite features. I have a lot of them, but I think this really helps improve our meetings and how we meet with our colleagues. We talked a little bit about front row. Front row is a neat feature. I do think it fits best on an ultra-wide display in your classrooms, which are really becoming a little more common in our world. What we can see here is how Microsoft can help us get all of these features that we're used to at our desks into our conference rooms. Things from raised hands, if any of you have metered meetings, to even the chat that's going on within the space. We can see that on the screen at the same time with our presentation. And then the front row bar at the bottom, and just a neat little bar where we are able to look at everybody that's in the meeting, or at least the people that have talked most recently, and feel like we're watching, looking at them eye to eye and meeting with them in person. So definitely a very cool feature of the Teams room set, and does work best with a 21.9, but I have seen it going on some smaller screens here. If you have any questions about monitors, 21.9, things like that, we're here to help. And there's definitely a lot more options now than even earlier this year when we ran this meeting before. So along with the intelligent cameras and the AI features is knowing who's talking when we're using the transcription features. Right now, there are some intelligent speakers out there that are utilizing this, and again, it's another feature set that's coming to the cloud. When we take these notes, and I saw some questions about note taking in the in our emails that went out to you, we want to know who's talking in the space, and that's where Microsoft comes in. This is a feature set that does need to be set up at the admin level of your Teams or 365, and then your users will have to give Microsoft a voice print. Knowing this is Microsoft, everything is kept very secure there. The data isn't going anywhere outside of your Teams account. But once that's done, when in a meeting, when in a room with multiple people, it's actually up to 10 people in a space. Teams will know who's talking, and then when we take the notes, their names will be attributed to that. This allows us to help focus on the meetings. I know I'm very used to taking notes through meetings, and changing over to transcription has really freed me up to work with my team to pay attention to what's going on in the here and now, and not making sure I'm capturing all of the action items and meeting notes in the space. That is a one-time enrollment, as I said. And with some of that, Copilot is getting much better, but we do use AI, whether it's Copilot or GPT, to turn those into action items. So it's definitely a very powerful tool. We're talking a lot about within our organization and how to utilize that. And we're also, as I said, helping train our customers on the use of AI safely within their organizations and within the business world. We know it's kind of a little bit of the Wild West right now, but we're seeing some really cool things out there within both Copilot and GPT. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out. We'll connect you with our Learning Center team, who's really positioned to help you learn and grow in the AI world. All right, so we mentioned earlier, we talk a little bit about what's coming up in Teams and Teams rooms. Now this has a little bit of both, and I'll lay out who's a Teams room feature and who's just a plain Teams feature. Another feature we're very excited about, Microsoft has been a little bit behind on this, but we're going to see local PTZ control coming to Teams rooms for Windows, and we'll get into a little bit about the Windows and Android separation later. That's scheduled to roll out about December 2025. This is going to allow you from your Teams room panel to access your cameras, change your camera shots natively within there. Right now, when our team is out putting in the pan tilt zoom cameras that we're used to in larger conference rooms, we're generally using a third-party control application or giving you the remote, which we all know, if we have any experience managing conference rooms, a remote in a conference room will miraculously grow legs and run away. So this is going to allow us to really make this, streamline this for you, and let Teams rooms handle your PTZ camera control. Also coming in December, this one I just found out about the other day. This is more of a Teams than a Teams rooms feature, but I figured that it might be good to let you guys know about this. Wi-Fi based work location updates. For any of us that have flex employees, hybrid employees working from both home and the office, Microsoft is going to give us the ability to allow their locations to be updated when they're connected to our corporate Wi-Fi's and corporate networks. Just allowing our colleagues and teams to know when people are within the building. So I thought that was a really cool feature coming. Another really fun feature coming, as we're so used to running on our laptops, is the AI room recommender. As you implement these Teams room resources and rooms within your organization, if two people create a meeting, and say we're both in the building right now and we're down the hall from each other, Teams is going to look at that and say, hey, you guys are both in the building. Well, the small conference room is available if you'd like to meet in person. So I thought this was really neat to help kind of foster that that personalization of our meetings with our teams, that maybe instead of talking to each other through a camera or a microphone, we might want to run down to the conference room and get together and discuss from there. View switching for multi-camera rooms. With the advent of Teams and other platforms allowing us to use multiple cameras within a space, what view switching is going to do for you in a Teams room is allow you to access another Teams room's cameras to better suit the layout of your room, whether you have multiple displays, whether you want to see more of the cameras within the space. You will be able to control that from your side. So that way you can really maximize what you can see and how you can collaborate within the space. We talked about Cloud and Teleframe. I believe that has been released for the Windows platform, but later on in November, they will be rolling that out for the Android platform. So we'll get into the differences when we talk a little bit about hardware of Android and Windows and how each can benefit you. Again, in November, they're rolling out a better health signals and notifications. What this will be is right now on the management platform, we are getting all the data on the spaces. We're seeing the room health, call health, any issues that may crop up with the rooms. But your team may not always be watching that platform and that management dashboard at all times. What this is going to do is this is going to broadcast some of that information to the front of the room display and to your team's room's controller, your touch panel in the space, to allow your users to know that there's an issue with the space. This may help them alert the technical team in the background that the room is having an issue and allow everybody to react a little quicker to these spaces. The quicker we can react to these spaces, the more uptime and the more effective your rooms are. And last but not least, a fun feature coming to Teams rooms here is the facilitator agent for scheduled meetings. What this is, both on Windows and Android, it's going to help automatically start AI-generated notes, follow-up items, and keep everybody on time during the scheduled meetings. This will appear in the meeting like a user. In the meeting chat, and participants are going to be able to toggle between notes, chat, and the agent. So this will be a Teams Room Pro feature. And doing this for ad hoc meetings is coming. Right now, it's only going to be rolled out for scheduled meetings. There is a public preview coming for this. So if this is something you're interested in, let us know. It's probably good to try it out for the ad hoc meetings, but for right now, it'll only be for scheduled meetings. All right, so as promised, we'll talk a little bit about devices here and hardware. We're going to keep this as vendor agnostic as possible for you. Actually, I don't think I have any vendor names in here. As mentioned before, Microsoft is in control of this ecosystem. They have many partners and many different manufacturers out there producing Teams Room hardware. But in the end, the goal of Microsoft, as we can see on the panel here on the screen, is to keep this ecosystem the same for everybody. This allows you to either look at the best piece of equipment for your space, the best deal for your space, and have that same experience wherever you go. Standardization, in the IT world is key. The more we standardize, the better your return on investment is. So with Microsoft in control of this, that panel, that entry into the system, what we see on the screen is going to be the same for everybody. So with that, we have flexible units here from, as I said in the beginning, the smallest rooms to the largest rooms. We here at System Source have done 1-2 seat huddle spaces, or phone booths as some customers call them, all the way up to implementing Teams rooms in rooms 100, 200 plus people. Depending on your needs and use, there's a product for you. These are purpose-built solutions. These are coming directly from manufacturers, even when they require a NUC PC that are purposely built, purposely set up, and ready to go for Teams rooms. This keeps everything easy to install, easy to manage from there. So as we see here, just another example of the AnyRoom functionality. AnyRoom can become a smart meeting space at this point. So with that, we're going to see a little bit about the equipment and kind of the differences between spaces and what we can do here. So there's three major archetypes of equipment for Teams rooms-based spaces. The first being modular. This is probably one of the more common for us. This is the customizable kit. This is for your larger spaces that may need in-room microphones, in-room speakers, your boardrooms that really have to have the gas behind them. These are generally supported by some form of touch panel, and then some form of NUC computer that's running a version of Windows IoT that has Teams rooms on it. With that, then just about any other piece of equipment can be integrated. There's a huge list of approved devices from Microsoft that work with Teams rooms and work with Teams rooms well. So whether that's ceiling microphones, table microphones, pan tilt zoom cameras, even up to some of the really big guns like the Crestron Automate VX in-room speaker tracking systems. They're all geared to work with Teams rooms and allow us to customize it to any space. Keeps you very flexible. These are generally, when we talk about Teams rooms on Windows, these are going to be your Teams rooms on Windows devices. The nice thing about that for your IT staff is they're manageable like any other Windows device in your organization. They're connected to Windows Update. They can have security patches applied to them. You really can treat them much like you would treat a workstation within your organization. The second would be the integrated systems. These generally fall into your huddles, smalls, and maybe your medium spaces, and we generally see them integrated into speaker bars like we see on the screen there. These are almost always going to be Android-based devices. So a little different on the management side and the security side, but still work very well. But the plus is it's easy to install, easy to set up within the spaces, and they can be mounted right underneath the display, generally an existing display. They still work with and come with the Teams Room touch panels, but all of the brains of the system are housed within that bar. Personally here in the pro audiovisual world, we're seeing a few more, a little bit more technology going into these right now. As we play, I see a few cooler cameras in there, dual camera systems integrated into the bar that are doing some of the intelligent framing and stuff like that we've talked about before. But these are great for your smaller spaces and quick deployments. And last but not least are the touchboard systems, the collaborative systems, or mobile systems, if you would. These are displays from various manufacturers with microphones, cameras, and Teams rooms on Androids built into them. Quite often mounted on a cart and are able to roll into spaces where you need them. These are great for, you have multiple small rooms, but most of them are hosting just internal face-to-face meetings, but you might need a Teams room somewhere at that point, or you might need the ability to call from somewhere. So having something like this on a cart allows you to be flexible and create any room you have, any space you have, even in a open office area, into a Teams room. These are generally touch displays, so they allow for great collaboration while you're going there. And Microsoft has even partnered with APC to help create a battery-powered cart. So as long as we're touching the Wi-Fi network and that cart is charged, we can wheel this anywhere and don't even have to worry about being near an outlet. So I think that's definitely a pretty cool device. With that, there are many manufacturers creating these devices out there. So what works for your price point, what works for your company's security policies, there's going to be a device for you out there. Now, we've talked a lot about Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Teams rooms. What happens when I have a client that wants to meet over Zoom, over WebEx, over GoTo, like we're meeting here today? And yes, I know it's funny that we use GoToWebinar and not Teams for this, but it's just where we are. I've gotten that question quite a few times. It's just what we're used to here. But we could be using Teams Town Hall for something like this, hosting a webinar. Well, that comes into bring your own device, or what we like to call bring your own meeting rooms and spaces. Just about every Teams room appliance right now allows us some form of bring your own meeting connection. And what we're seeing here, the gentleman on screen connecting a USB cable into a laptop, This is allowing his laptop to take control of the in-room resources, the camera, the microphone, the display, and utilize them for platforms outside of the Teams ecosystem. So no matter who you're talking to with a bring your own meeting or bring your own device room, you have the ability and the flexibility to talk with those people. Along with that, with some of the bigger names, mainly Zoom on Microsoft, there are some connectors in the background that allow us to now communicate and join Zoom meetings from Teams. Generally speaking, you don't receive any of the feature sets from either Zoom or Microsoft when you do that, but it allows you to natively connect into those meetings as well. And actually, that was my next slide. I apologize there. So with that, I will mention one thing. We don't have a slide on it, but we did mention one-touch join quite a bit. This is probably the largest feature that our customers ask for in Teams rooms here, is the ability for one-touch join, or the easy button, if anyone remembers the Staples commercials from years ago. With these rooms as a resource set up on our systems, these rooms can be scheduled like we would schedule and invite anybody else to a meeting. Just when we're going through Outlook, we schedule the room as well. What your end users will see when they walk into the space, if there is a scheduled meeting, and both on the main display and on the touch panel, it will show the scheduled meeting and the calendar. Your users walk in, they touch the meeting they're there to join, and the meeting fires up, the room joins the meeting, and they're off and running. One-touch join or easy button really takes the thought process out of your users' hands and lets them focus on the space. With the ability to join other automation platforms into this, whether it be Extron, Crestron, AMX, whoever, we also have the ability to talk with these systems and do fun things like utilize occupancy sensors. I have a couple customers that really enjoy using an occupancy sensor in the room, not only to start the meeting, your users walk in, there's a meeting scheduled, the meeting fires up, but also to help with things like zombie meetings. For a meeting that's scheduled in a space, no one shows up to the meeting, using the 365 platform calendaring and third-party automation, we can detect when no one's in the room, and we can take the meeting off the schedule and let people know the room is available. So some cool feature sets with the one-touch join and the easy button, if you would, in there. Partner that with the standardization of the panel, and gone are the days of training your staff on the use of conference rooms and conferencing rooms, to really let them focus on the day-to-day for you. We talked a little bit about the touch board, so here's just another slide for you, kind of going over the board that I spoke of that Microsoft partners with APC for the battery charged cart. So just another fun one if you want to talk a little more about this. My team would love to talk with you, whether it's this or any of the other manufacturers out there creating these all-in-one systems. Definitely great for flexibility. Last but not least, we talked about the meeting panel, but whether it's the meeting panel in the room or scheduling panels outside your space, scheduling panels have become very common, especially in organizations with multiple rooms, letting us know when a room's available for that ad hoc meeting. If I need to run down the hallway and meet with somebody, I can take a look at my rooms and see if there's a red light or a green light, if it's in use. If not, I can come to the front of the room, outside the door. I can touch the scheduling panel. I can go ahead and schedule the room right then and there, take it over, or I can see the next time it's available if I need to meet in a room. So very cool feature set. You know, the cost of ownership on these has come way down, and they're really, if you do have a lot of conference spaces within your organization, they're a great addition to help your teams figure out where they can and cannot meet. And then also with connected with Teams, if the room is in use, they will suggest other rooms within the organization that might be available at the time. All right, so getting into a little bit of management, and then we'll wrap up here. So with the use of AI through the management portal, it really helps us focus on our day-to-day and not have to worry about automating updates, problem detections, and resolutions at scale. It will drive our teams and give us information when things are needed. Excuse me. Settings and best practices are grounded in the knowledge gained from endpoints across the industry. Microsoft is really watching all of these, and if anybody has ever been in some of the 365 portals, there's a lot of information there that helps us manage and create best practices for our organization. Multi-layer security. We all know that Microsoft is kind of a leader in this, as they are out on just about everybody's machine right now. So you're getting that benefit through Teams and Teams rooms. And the ability to have some insight through data on your organization, whether it's how often rooms are used, what rooms are being used. I always thought that's a really key piece of data. If you have multiple different size rooms, you can go ahead and tell that my large rooms are never being scheduled, but all of my small rooms are scheduled all the time. And that can help you make some decisions moving forward if you need to think about creating new conference spaces and what we should do to help our teams there. With this, the Teams Room Management Platform gives us remote access to these panels. We've all been in a position where someone is having trouble in a conference room, whether you were having trouble or you're on the back side of that receiving the call. The ability to log into that panel and physically press buttons for your users. Whether it's a training issue or we just want to see what's going on there, we can do that through the Teams Management Portal. Insight reports about what's happening within the space, and a great layout to show what Teams panels are running, who's having issues, and states like that. And if you are a government customer here, GCC has been supported for some time. Windows Autopilot, if you have multiple rooms here, can be set up on the management portal to really ease the setup of your spaces. This can be loaded into the management portal. The device can be brought into a room, plugged in, and your network will go ahead and set and log that device in for you. So great for when we talk about the Teams Room on Androids with ease of deployment to really speed up that deployment for your team. And again, we talk about a comprehensive management portal. So this gives us things like update management, monitoring, everything else like that. Being connected to the Microsoft Auto Update platform, we can also set these on a scheduled update. Very important with Teams Rooms to keep them up to date. And with Microsoft managing that across all hardware, you will get the latest and greatest as we go. Last but not least here, categories and health signals. I think a lot of us either have people in our organization or work directly with some form of dashboarding. With the Microsoft Teams platform and the 365 platform, we get the same level of dashboarding, giving us health information, updates, tickets on devices, everything we need to ensure that our rooms are up as often as possible and our teams are focusing on collaboration and meeting and not does the room work and does the room not work. So with that, we've come to the end of the presentation here. I appreciate your time. I know there's a lot of information that we touched on briefly. So if you have any additional questions, we'll go through a couple of these here. So let me doc this and I will answer what I can. All right, so one question I have is how much time generally does it take for IT admins to learn Microsoft Teams Admin Center? That's a great question. I believe we have, if I'm not mistaken, a 3-day training course for Teams and O365. It is part of the 365 platform, so Teams is a very small subset of that whole management side, but I'd be happy to reach out and give you some information on what we offer as far as training goes for Microsoft Teams admin, as well as anything else on that side. Second question is, did our Columbia office reopen? So I don't believe that office did, but we do host some classes there. So we have some partnerships. We realize that You know, we kind of span the world between Baltimore and DC. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult for DC clients to come all the way up here to Hunt Valley to train. So we do have some partnerships in Columbia. We find it a really great kind of midpoint there. So there are some options. And last question here is, let's see. Oh, so this is a great one. This is kind of touches base on the why Zoom, why WebEx, even for organizations that utilize 365 pretty heavily. So this is more of an opinion on my side. I think a lot of organizations became very comfortable with Zoom's video platform over COVID. Zoom was definitely, you know, we've kind of had the video conferencing arms race, if you would, between Microsoft, Zoom, Cisco has been in there as well too. Zoom took off really, really, really well, especially over COVID. You know, and I think a lot of that came from Zoom is a video-centric company. You know, they deal with Zoom and video conferencing pretty much exclusively, where Microsoft has been focused on the ecosystem as a whole. So during that time, I think originally quality of the calls was a lot better. Easy use was a lot better. You know, we even had, I know a lot of people's extended family were getting used to Zoom at that point. So I think we still see a lot of that in the industry right now. I do still have a couple customers out there using Zoom, but I saw a lot of changeover once kind of Teams got rolled into 365. Teams has really come a long way since COVID. A lot of the feature sets that Zoom was was able to kind of quickly react to and add because that was their focus, Microsoft has now brought into Teams and brought that in. But I see that number shrinking, and I think a lot of that came from, if any of you can think back to the COVID times and the security issues Zoom had. Zoom was very quick to market. Zoom was very grew quite exponentially between the company and the feature set, and that opened them up to a lot of security stuff. I know the first couple times we ran this, I was actually, for this meeting, and for just our customers in general, I was tracking security issues through Zoom and had pages and pages of stuff that was going on just to make sure that our customers were staying safe as they were using their platform of choice. So I think that might answer the question, at least in my opinion, on why people are still using Zoom. But as we said here at the BYOD, that's the beauty of, you know, bringing your own meeting or some of the connectors on the back end, is the ability to really gain the security that we're used to with Microsoft in our conference rooms, but the flexibility to still communicate outside of that. You know, we're very happy that these companies are starting to play a little nicer together and give us the options for those connectors, because, you know, very early on in kind of the web conferencing renaissance, you know, no one wanted to play in the same sandbox. So we had a lot of fights where you were picking a Teams room and that's who you had to communicate with, or picking a Zoom room and that's who you had to communicate with. And now we definitely have some options to go either way. So, all right. Any other questions? I'll leave it up for a couple more minutes. So we're happy to answer anything here. Again, we will be sending you guys or everybody a survey at the end. We'd love it if you gave us your thoughts on today's webinar, asked any additional questions there. Definitely helps us improve, and someone will be randomly selected for a $50 Amazon gift card. Any other questions we have or anything that we may not have answered that you requested within your sign up, member of my team will be reaching out just to let you know that there's someone there for you. We're happy to talk. We're happy to go deeper into anything you saw today, or just discuss, you know, moving on to how do we implement these in our conference rooms, or maybe what next year looks like as we come to the end of the year. So thank you very much for your time today. This actually is probably ran the longest of any of these so far. So I'll give you about 5 minutes back your day. I'm sorry it's not a little bit more. I hope the pizza was delicious, and we look forward to seeing you next time.